Good morning. Welcome to our day 4, the OASIS experience, and reading a commentary from the Tao Te Ching that I have in my book here, commentary 42. The Tao gives birth to the One. One gives birth to two. Two gives birth to three. Three gives birth to all things. All things have their backs to the female and stand facing the male. When male and female combine, all things achieve harmony. Ordinary men hate solitude, but the master makes use of it, embracing his aloneness, realizing he is one with the whole universe. So today I wanted to address this idea of the reversal or the great undoing, this process that we're in now in our world, which I had predicted would begin at time wave 0 in 2012 and go through a process of about 20 years till 2032. And the purpose of the great undoing is simply now being called the Great Reset. It's a way of truly birthing a new earth, birthing this Aquarian age where great wisdom and love and compassion will become the new treasures to value, replacing what was, what had built up over a number of centuries in a materialistic world as acquisition of knowledge and accumulating wealth and things. So again, it was just a masculine buildup driven by our egoic intellect to acquire and control. And now with this reversal, this great undoing, it's the feminine divine principle that will emerge to lead the way in our new earth, our period of harmony that arises. Like it says, the Tao bursts the one bursts the two, and the two burst the three. And it's really, again, about the idea of this duality, this polarity being unified by the spiritual principle. This global mind is our third stage in our evolution as a species. We've talked about the tribal and egoic aspects that are now in the process of being changed, right? It'll appear to those who are entrenched in the tribal mind that is dominated by fear. It will appear that this great undoing, this reversal, is an extermination, which more or less is true. That aspect of our evolutionary process needs to be exterminated, needs to be replaced. And so we'll find that technology has developed where technology will replace the tribal population of the world. And the egoic mind, which is right now very dominant, particularly in North America, but more or less around the world, is expressing itself as this big battle between good and evil. And, that's what the egoic mind does. It has to see everything as a competition, as a conflict between two opposing forces. And so, again, what's going to be emerging, for example, just look at US politics, this two-party system, which is diametrically opposed and at odds with each other, seemingly intractable, will be replaced by something new. What that is, I can't say. But the whole point that I would offer today is what Eckhart talked about in The Power of Now, that the appearance of evil is simply evidence of something that we have yet fully embraced or accepted or are able to understand. So again, to the egoic mind, what's evolving, this great reset, will appear evil to both sides. Okay, it's something new. It's something great. It's a radical improvement over this polarity that exists between what would appear, again, good and evil. So we need to see, we need to allow the full manifestation of the problem so that the correction becomes necessary. Remember, I think yesterday I said that it's necessity is the mother of invention. And so we have a necessity for this great reset to recalibrate how we as humans operate on the planet so that we might not only survive, but actually flourish. And so those of us that have stepped into this third stage in our evolution, those that would represent the spiritual or global mind, have the ability to help usher in, help to accept and actually birth this new stage in our evolution. So we need individually, those of us that would step into mastery, to model this full integration of the three. Okay, the overarching spiritual mind. Again, if we're serving that, if we're serving as a conduit through which it might be expressed in our world, okay, and that we as individuals become whole, fully embodying the masculine and feminine, okay, so we become a very balanced template, a model, if you will, for the new human, for our emerging species. We have the ability, we're called to take on the responsibility of being that. So we're not like looking for what is coming. We are what is coming. We represent what is coming, the new human, the new species, and our new earth will simply manifest out of this. As the old forms crumble, dissolve, and in some cases it will look pretty dramatic, perhaps some measure of violence, when they for instance take down a building. Here a big skyscraper has been erected, and when it's time, when that building is no longer serving its function, it's taken down in a very methodical process, and it looks very violent. Of course, it's a big structure coming down, but it's all being carefully planned and when the demolition people do it, typically it's done without any great harm to the surrounding area. So imagine these monolithic structures in our world, like, government systems, whether you call it democracy or socialism or communism, whatever, capitalism, these economic and political structures and religious structures, churches, all of this needs to be undone. The great reset, in our new earth, as John Lennon spoke to in the song Imagine, there won't be a place for governments or economic structures, and religious structures. There will be something new. And again, it makes sense, in what I read in the Taoist practice. It's once you've internalized this change, then it all seems very reasonable, very doable, very realistic and practical and whatever. To those that are not yet open to this new way of living, it will seem like a catastrophe. It'll seem like something is being lost, like somehow these old systems were good, were the way we want to stay. Well, obviously they're not good. They're not the way we want to stay, which is why there is this upset going on all around the world. And so again, it's very important that we again understand evil as the appearance of evil as something that we don't yet fully understand or have the ability to accept. But once we can accept it, then we can actually understand it. And then in this new earth, the energetic position we would like to be in beyond acceptance is appreciation. We can appreciate those who would appear, those agencies, those agendas, those whatever, evil. That they appear like they're destroying something precious when in fact they're simply helping to dissolve old forms. And again, what we see is a certain form becoming ridiculous, becoming impossible, becoming like, are you kidding me? Like absurd in its grotesqueness. Then it becomes very necessary to change it. So we're seeing a whole system becoming ridiculous, becoming just crazily impossible, which is again a good thing. This is the Luciferic Principle. Okay, so it's important to understand the Luciferic Principle as much as we need to understand, in the sort of the Christian mythology, this idea of the Christ, the second coming of the Christ fully manifesting. In the Christian language, the way shower is Lucifer. Lucifer is that being, that energetic necessity that would show us the way. Again, the appearance of evil is actually a pointer to what is desirable, what we want. Again, beyond our mere survival, our ability to flourish as a new species, an improved species, necessitates the dissolution of the old species, the old forms. So you have these characters, just pick one, Donald Trump as an example. You have these characters that are like caricatures of this egoic consciousness, this consciousness that would just be very controversial, be very, it's all about me, be that, again, it's a caricature of our species, the former species, the egoic species, that becomes so obvious that we say, wow, we want to change. We need to change. Now it's interesting in the game that's being played in politics. It's interesting that that character and those around him that seemingly could have continued in this game, they've taken a step back. Now, there's a very key element in sort of like the game of chess. In fact, there was a movie made recently called The Queen's Gambit that sort of showed that there's a very powerful move where you actually surrender, you give up, you allow your opponent to fall into this trap. Okay, so some people would say that's exactly what's happening now in the American politics, that Trump and his group stepped back, allowed what happened with the election and whatever, so that Biden and the Democrats could basically come in and fall flat on their faces. It's just kind of the great thing is the possibility that we could sit and watch it as a game, as a chess match, as a whatever, but with the overarching awareness that this is meant to implode. The two-party system in American politics, this illusion of democracy, it is meant to implode. And the difficulties that we're going to see in this next period of years that has a lot to do with global politics in China, that again, this is necessary for all of this to come to the head. You know, it's so fascinating that what I've studied, what I've embraced as my primary devotion, you know, comes out of ancient China. And China has always been this very powerful and very patient entity, okay, that now is rising up in a way that would look very evil, perhaps, to many. But again, remembering the Lucifer Principle, that this same energy that produced the most beautiful philosophy that I've ever encountered, Taoism, is the same entity, 6,000-year-old culture that's been quietly waiting to assert its dominance, and perhaps a world war will manifest as part of that. Who knows? Again, the key is to go, wow, bring it on. Bring on whatever is going to accelerate this powerful, you know, who would imagine a process like this could happen in as short as like what I predicted 20 years, starting in 2012, that in my vision by 2032, all of this will be resolved, that we will have arrived at that place where now all of the conflict is finished and the new becomes established. So it'll be fascinating. I trust that most of you, along with me, we will ride the storm and be here, again, holding it in our compassionate hearts, holding it in our still minds, the masculine and the feminine, holding it, embracing it. You know, again, here we are, we're birthing this beautiful, beautiful new child, our new species. Okay, and so, again, evil is simply that which we have been able to fully accept and understand. And this Lucifer principle is this necessary undoing, the reversal, okay? The reversal that's happening now in the world, reversing, you know, that they've talked about, you know, a global catastrophe where there'll be this polar shift, it'll be reversed. Well, I think that's just sort of a symbolic representation of the shift that will happen, is happening, it's already happened in some of us, but will happen at the global level where there'll be this total shift away from this egoic fight good versus evil, and there'll be this collective acceptance. Wow, for us to survive and flourish, we need to be as one. We need to join together as one, a global family, and move forward in a new way. So to me, what's happening is beautiful. It's exciting. It's very dynamic. You know, might not seem like that much is happening in the sense of what's being birthed new, but I assure you it is happening because I know it. I mean, it's happening because it's the essence of my life to be integrally part of this. And so it's happening in me. I trust that for some of you, it's happening in you, that you're feeling a strong, hopefully unstoppable pull to flow with the changes that are happening. Because that's the key for your life to be easy, to be at peace. It's simply a matter of you embracing this feminine willingness to surrender and flow with the changes that are happening, and let the changes happen. We don't have to orchestrate the change. The change is sort of written in the stars, right? Evolution has this whole shift well in hand. You know, we just have to do our part. We just have to be paying attention so we can participate as necessary. We can add the piece that we're called to add, because again, each of us are given this power. We're given this power by the unmanifested, this unstoppable force of evolution. And we, in our own way, each of us will receive instructions on how to contribute, how to be part of it. But remember, the key to truly be in this new earth is to be at this base level of acceptance, that we accept as a good thing. We accept all that's happening. And if we can move our energetic vibration up to the level of appreciation, that we could actually enjoy, we could see and embrace, even love what is happening. And then ideally we move into this level of enthusiasm where we know that we're being called at our highest level to participate, to contribute. And that to me is amazing, to know that we are those who would step into mastery, that we are the ones, the 1,000 points of light that Carolyn Mace talked about, that we are the ones that will lead, guide our species into this new era. So it's an amazing time. It's beautiful. I'm so excited to be a part of it and to welcome you to join me in this amazing process. You know, I wouldn't call it like the last big wave, you know, the crusade, which was really a masculine-led process. This is now the divine feminine guiding us in a totally different way, where we sit, we actually want to be as still as possible and allow the flow. Blessings to you. Hasta mañana.